Who is hiding the truth? The community has demanded answers so as not to happen to other children out there. 2 children vanished without a trace. A mother fled with the youngest, cutting all contact, and the silence that followed has been louder and more haunting than any answer we've received. For months, the family has waited. The community has demanded answers, and yet the questions remain. Where are Lily and Jack? What truly happened that morning? And who is hiding the truth? This case demands attention, and your voice matters. If you care about justice for Lily and Jack and about stopping this from happening to other children, please take a moment right now to subscribe. Subscribing allows you to follow every update as we search for the truth and keeps these children's names alive in a world that often forgets too quickly. Like this video so it reaches more people. Share it with others who need to see it. And let us know in the comments where you're watching from and what you believe really happened in this case. Together, we can help bring answers for Lily and Jack and protect other children before it's too late. On the morning of May 2nd, 2025, in a quiet, forest-hemmed trailer near Gerlach Road, Nova Scotia, 2 young children, 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan, vanished without a trace. They were last seen inside the trailer where they lived with their mother, Malia Murray, and their baby sister, Meadow. The setting was deeply rural, with no fences, no cameras, and no neighbors in direct line of sight. It was the kind of place people chose for its quiet, its isolation. But that isolation became the first obstacle in finding Lily and Jack. No one outside the family reported seeing or hearing anything unusual that morning. No car sounds, no voices in the woods, nothing. When the children were discovered missing, their scent was tracked by dogs down the driveway to the roadside, where it abruptly stopped. No footprints led into the thick, muddy brush, and no small shoes were found discarded in the undergrowth. And while the terrain around the trailer was harsh enough to tear at clothing and leave visible signs if 2 small children had wandered off, there were no such signs. No scraps of fabric, no broken twigs, no trail, just silence. Within 24 hours, the RCMP classified the case as a missing persons investigation, launching ground searches with drones and dogs and scanning rivers and creeks nearby for any trace of Lily and Jack. But nothing was found, no Amber Alert was issued, no suspects were named, and despite the growing fear and frustration among the family and the public, there was no evidence of foul play and no evidence of an accident. Just an empty trailer, an anxious community, and a family suddenly fractured by fear. And in the days that followed, the silence grew deeper. To understand this case, you need to understand Malia Murray, often called Malia by those closest to her. She is Sepeknetic First Nation by heritage, with deep family and cultural ties to the community. In the months before Lily and Jack disappeared, Malia was described as a soft-spoken, attentive mother, often seen with the children at the small playground near the trailer park, or walking to the local convenience store with Meadow strapped to her chest. Those who knew her described her as gentle, quiet, and deeply attached to her children, but they also described moments of strain, times when she would withdraw, fall silent in conversation, or seem distant even while physically present. Malia's family structure was complex. Daniel Martel had stepped into the role of a father figure for Lily and Jack, living with them and helping to care for Meadow, who was still an infant. By all accounts, Daniel was actively involved, ensuring the children had meals, routines, and attending to the small realities of raising young children in an isolated area. Malia's relationship with Cody Sullivan, Lily and Jack's biological father, was strained. He was largely absent from daily life, and custody arrangements were informal and unclear, with Malia maintaining primary care. Within Malia's own family, her mother Cindy was known to have a strong influence over her. Some described Cindy's involvement as supportive, while others, like Logan, a close friend of Daniel, suggested it was controlling and may have contributed to Malia's increasing withdrawal from the people around her. In the weeks leading up to the disappearance, family members noted subtle but concerning changes. Malia became quieter, less engaged, and less communicative. She stopped responding to text messages, missed planned family visits, and even avoided routine phone calls from Daniel and others. To those looking back now, these changes feel like signposts, warnings that something was shifting beneath the surface, but at the time they were dismissed as exhaustion or stress from caring for 3 young children in an isolated environment. But it was within this structure, a quiet mother, a blended family trying to make ends meet in rural Nova Scotia, under the watchful yet uncertain presence of extended family, that Lily and Jack disappeared into silence, and Meadow was later taken as well. The timeline of Lily and Jack's disappearance is as stark as it is silent. May 1st, 2025. The day before they vanished, Lily, Jack, Meadow, and Malia were reportedly seen at Highland Square Mall. Surveillance cameras confirmed their presence, marking the last independent, verifiable sighting of the children alive in public. Footage was turned over to RCMP, but has never been released to the public. May 2nd, 2025. Sometime during the early morning hours, Lily, age 6, and Jack, age 4, disappeared from their family's remote trailer off Gerlach Road in rural Nova Scotia. The trailer was deep rural, no fencing, no exterior lights, no cameras. The rear sliding glass door was accessible, but there were no signs of forced entry, no broken locks, no visible disturbance. Their small shoes remained inside, and their favorite toys were left untouched. By 7 a.m., Daniel Martel, who had stepped into a father role, noticed the children were not in their beds. At first, he assumed they were playing quietly. By 7:30 a.m., his concern grew. By 8 a.m., he was actively searching around the trailer, calling their names into the thick woods that surrounded the property. 9 a.m., Daniel contacted Malia, who was not at the trailer. Her responses were described as flat, not showing urgency, and she did not immediately return to the trailer to help search. 10 a.m., Daniel contacted local authorities, reporting Lily and Jack missing. RCMP arrived on the scene shortly after, beginning a search of the immediate area, including the trailer, the woods, and surrounding properties. Tracking dogs were brought in and followed the children's scent down the gravel driveway, which led to the edge of the property by the roadside, where it stopped abruptly. This indicated to investigators that the children likely entered a vehicle and were driven away. Throughout May 2nd, neighbors and local volunteers joined the search, combing the thick, uneven terrain. The terrain was described as harsh, difficult for adults to navigate without leaving traces, yet no footprints, torn clothing, or physical clues were found. May 3rd, 2025. With no sign of the children, RCMP escalated the case. They deployed drones, low-flying aircraft, and search and rescue teams. Divers were sent into nearby rivers and streams, and water banks were scanned for evidence. No evidence, no traces, no disturbances were found. Despite the mounting concern, no Amber Alert was issued. Authorities stated there was insufficient evidence to confirm an abduction, leading to public frustration and confusion. Days turned into weeks. Investigators questioned family members, neighbors, and local contacts, collecting statements and phone records. Daniel fully cooperated, providing access to devices and submitting to polygraph testing. Malia's behavior stood in sharp contrast. She did not join searches, made no public pleas, and provided no statements to media. Her flat responses and emotional detachment became a focal point of concern. 6 weeks later, as questions mounted and pressure built, Malia disappeared with Meadow, cutting off contact with Daniel, RCMP, and Child Protective Services. Before leaving, she quietly retrieved the children's birth certificates, school photos, and 2 stuffed animals. The investigation into the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan quickly became a case study in challenges and failures. From the outset, there was no clear starting point. No witnesses saw the children leave, no sounds of a struggle, no signs of forced entry, no screams in the quiet rural dark. The terrain surrounding the trailer was harsh and thickly wooded, with uneven ground, brush, and marshy patches. Locals noted that even adults could not pass through without leaving footprints or disturbances, yet no such traces were found, deepening the mystery. Tracking dogs followed the children's scent only as far as the driveway, where it stopped cold. This strongly suggested the children were placed in a vehicle, yet there was no surveillance, no neighbors reporting a vehicle, and no dash camera footage available. RCMP classified the matter initially as a missing persons case, not an abduction. Because of this, no Amber Alert was issued. The decision drew widespread frustration from family members and the public, who believed every hour without an alert closed critical windows for recovery. Forensic teams examined the trailer. They found no physical evidence, no blood, no hair, no broken items, no DNA, no sign of a struggle. The environment was cluttered but undisturbed, raising the question, how could 2 small children vanish without leaving a single trace? RCMP expanded their search using drones, low-flying aircraft, and divers in nearby rivers and streams. Despite these efforts, the landscape gave nothing back. There was no discarded clothing, no toys, no signs of panic or distress. A core investigative failure was the lack of consistent public updates. The RCMP issued occasional brief statements, but held no regular press conferences. They declined to release critical surveillance footage from Highland Square Mall, the last place Lily and Jack were seen alive, fueling speculation and mistrust. Those closest to the case, Daniel Martell, Belinda Gray, Logan, and Darwood O'Grady, became vocal online, sharing frustrations about the investigation's pace and transparency. Daniel, who fully cooperated with police and passed a polygraph, began posting updates on YouTube, pleading for attention to the case and raising concerns that Malia knew more than she was saying. Meanwhile, Malia's behavior became a glaring point of concern. She did not participate in searches. She avoided speaking with the media. Her responses to inquiries were described as emotionally flat, and she showed no urgency to engage with investigators or to clear suspicions. 6 weeks into the investigation, when Malia disappeared with Meadow, the failures deepened. She left with essential documents, and her sudden silence raised fears of premeditation. Yet, despite mounting suspicion, there were no charges, no official suspects, and no shift from missing persons to a declared criminal abduction. Public frustration grew into anger. Questions swirled. Why was no Amber Alert issued? Why was surveillance footage withheld? Why did law enforcement remain so quiet as weeks passed? Why did Child Protective Services allow Malia to disappear with Meadow despite growing concerns? The lack of transparency and urgency in these earliest stages may have cost precious time that Lily and Jack did not have. The investigation's failures did not erase the hope of finding the children, but they left the family and community battling against silence, speculation, and time itself in the search for justice. The RCMP's handling of Lily and Jack's disappearance drew immediate scrutiny. No Amber Alert was issued. Critical surveillance footage was withheld. Updates were rare and brief, leaving families and the public in the dark. CPS oversight failed, too. Meadow was reportedly under monitoring, yet Malia managed to leave with her, cutting off all contact. Questions arose. How could a mother under watch vanish so easily? What protocols were missed? These systemic failures fueled public frustration. Communities rallied online, demanding transparency and updates. Family members went public, accusing authorities of moving too slowly, failing to apply pressure, and letting precious time slip away. The silence from official channels only amplified suspicion and distrust, leaving many asking, who is being protected, and why is justice moving so slowly? Many have drawn comparisons between Lily and Jack's disappearance and the case of Madeleine McCann. Both involved the sudden vanishing of young children from places that should have been safe. Both lacked witnesses. Both lacked clear evidence in the critical first hours. But this comparison isn't just for headlines. It's bringing clarity. It shows us how powerful public pressure, media coverage, and relentless advocacy can be in forcing action. In Madeleine's case, it led to international cooperation, ongoing investigation, and a commitment to never letting her story die. In Lily and Jack's case, that same clarity is showing us what's missing. No Amber Alert, no global cooperation, no consistent updates, no accountability. The comparison reminds us that time is critical, visibility is critical, pressure is critical, and it reminds us that the power to keep this case alive doesn't belong only to the institutions that failed Lily and Jack. It belongs to us. By speaking, sharing, and refusing to let Lily and Jack's names fade, people are bringing clarity, urgency, and hope to a case that has been overshadowed by silence. Yet for all the theories, for all the comparisons, questions still hang in the air. Where are Lily and Jack Sullivan? Are they alive, hidden to avoid CPS intervention? Or did something irreversible happen on May 2, 2025? Why did Malia disappear with Meadow weeks later, cutting off all contact with police, CPS, and family? Was she fleeing in fear or hiding something darker? Why has the RCMP refused to release key evidence, including surveillance footage and forensic results, while maintaining silence about the investigation status? Why was no Amber Alert issued? And what role does Malia's family, particularly her mother, play in all of this? Did they help her vanish? Are they protecting her, or protecting the truth? Public suspicion has only grown as these questions remain unanswered. Each day without answers is another day of frustration for those who loved Lily and Jack. Each week of silence fuels theories, doubts, and deep suspicion toward those who should be transparent. And for the community watching, these questions aren't going away. They are the heartbeat of a case that refuses to be forgotten. As these questions linger, one truth remains. The silence surrounding Lily and Jack's disappearance cannot be the final word. Your voice matters here. This case needs eyes on it, conversations around it, and people willing to keep asking the hard questions when others have gone quiet. So if you care about justice for Lily and Jack, please, like this video to push it into more feeds, share it so more people can learn about this case, and subscribe so we can continue to follow every development until there is resolution. In the comments, tell us where you're watching from. Let us know your perspective on this case. What do you believe really happened to Lily and Jack Sullivan? Your insight could help bring clarity to a case clouded by silence. Together, we can keep Lily and Jack's names alive until the answers finally come.